How's it going?
It's going well. It's interesting, I guess, interesting turn of events. I didn't think I'd be back
I know, under such circumstances.
under such crazy circumstances. We talked about quarantine and how kind of crazy it is. Clearly, it's killing relationships now.
I know. I mean, when the news broke, I was on this 37-mile bike ride. I was taking a stop, a quick stop. I look at my phone and it's blowing up. Just yeah. Mary Kate's getting divorced. Mary Kate's getting divorced. And I was just like, oh no, how am I not here to deconstruct this content right now?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone was blowing up my DMs. Everyone was I want to comment. Do you have anything to say? And really, I can't comment on someone's divorce proceedings, yet here we are.
I know. And I was like, is it, bad form to already be let's discuss this? And would Mary Kate appreciate it?
I mean,
probably not.
Probably not. She wants us to respect her privacy.
And it's not like we're digging through her trash. We're just discussing the public, what's on public record.
Absolutely.
So we're not the paparazzi.
Yeah. We're not invading her privacy. We are Team Mary Kate, I'm sure,
Oh, yes. Dude, Olivier is being a fucking psychopath. Can we talk about that for
It's so crazy to me. Relationships are only good until they're not.
Right.
And I recently found out that they're both Geminis.
Oh, okay.
So, as chill and cool as MK is, I'm sure she's pretty feisty and cutthroat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Reading what she's talking about in these documents, I'm just she's had enough. She's done. She's ready to get the fuck out of this relationship.
Yeah. I mean, but what's crazy is they, he's being so, people when they separate are notoriously difficult.
Right.
And to be hey, I didn't renew the lease on our apartment, which by the way, didn't know they were leasing.
I know. I'm why? But it makes sense, I guess, if they maybe they own a property, but then they lease. They have different properties, right? That's what I was reading, is that they have they haven't made roots anywhere. They kind of just hop from apartment in different parts of New York. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I was shocked that they were renting.
Yeah.
These millionaires are renting.
So, I don't know if you remember, but Mary Kate and Ashley bought a giant penthouse on Morton Street when they were going to college.
Yes.
And it took forever to sell. I even think that they took a huge loss on it.
Really?
Well, yeah.
That would, and then around that time too, the market didn't
Yeah, the market was really terrible.
Yeah.
We were going through a financial crisis, a recession.
Right.
So, but it's it's crazy. As we discussed earlier in the other, in the other episode, Mary Kate has a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Someone I was talking
she just accumulates things.
Yeah. I told you about the Gucci shoehorn.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Shit. A friend of mine was talking about how, she has tons of money. She can just go anywhere. I'm like, would you spend $5 million on an apartment sight unseen?
Yeah.
And it's not like she can go to a hotel because the hotels in New York are closed.
Yeah. It's not like how it is in California. You where I'm at now, you really could quickly find a place probably if you're rich. Things are relatively open-ish. But in New York,
I'm staying in the Sunset Marquis when I'm in LA.
Yeah. And in New York though, things are shut the fuck down. And it's much more of a crisis there. So
Yeah.
not only does she have like, she's not like a regular rich person who just has a lot of things. She has like very valuable things.
Yeah.
Like she has
Yeah.
a tons of stuff. She would need like a crew to get together and like, and
But
not,
I'm
sometimes
sure
like
also,
all the
like,
money in the world she doesn't have the resources to pull that off in a few days during a pandemic.
yeah, and she probably needs like, movers that have special handling,
Yeah, like she has like
experience,
art and who knows.
furniture.
I'm just like thinking also about how she has tons of stuff. She's probably like, and she's still like only 33. Like when you think it's like, this is a big deal and he's being really manipulative, I think, by being like, oh, by the way, you have to be out by Monday.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know you have all your stuff, but
yeah, but it's really interesting to me because it's like you have these two very powerful figures.
mm-hmm.
Her and her sister are like, queens of their own industry, titans of their industry.
Yes.
And then you have him who's like brother was the president of France.
Right. Yeah. And
So,
also he, like the whole family is hella corrupt. I was reading about that like his half brother is like was arrested under like corruption charges in France. Like the whole family is kind of sketchy. There was somebody who messaged me who is Dutch, but they're living in France, in Paris. And they were like, I fucking hate I hate that family. Like that family is corrupt. Like they cannot be trusted. And now I'm like, Mary-Kate, get out of there.
I mean, I wonder if they'll ask his ex-wife for a comment.
Oh,
Charlotte Sarkozy.
Yeah. It's like messy. I mean, just like the quotes from the Page 6 article.
So yeah, I have one up here that we can totally discuss. This is a quote from a source, which, an insider, who knows,
Right.
It's, probably a publicist. It's gotten very ugly between them, the insider reveals of Mary-Kate and Olivier's current dynamic. It's become a heated divorce, the source adds. She's done with constant drama.
I know. I just can't. Like,
what could they be alluding to?
Yeah, and in November, they were last seen in November, right? And they seemed happy. It was at I know they were seen at like her horse show, and they were cuddling happy. But as you know, I mean, relationships, when you get out in the public, you can like put on a face. They probably had their good days. They probably had their bad days. I wondered, like, did quarantine just heighten the tension that was already there? Or like, is it just that they
what
both...
did he do? What was the final nail in the coffin?
I know, because she says, it was clear my marriage was over. The relationship has been broken down irretrievably, according to court papers filed in New York City Supreme Court. Like, their marriage is just like not
shattered.
It's done. It's shattered.
Irreparable.
What did he do?
And then on top of it, she, they have the pending lawsuit at the Row.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it's Mary-Kate, or it's Ashley's ex, but it's like he's filing it against Mary-Kate, which is interesting. And you're like, where? And not to mention, I mean, this is like me getting like very spirally and like assumptions and trying to be a detective. Like the Spotify playlist that the Row released, I have a lot of like breakup-y songs, like Changes, and like it's like I'm just like,
are we theorizing conspiracies now on Gimme Pizza?
Yeah, of like they were like dropping hints. They're probably like, this is probably like the playlist that like Mary-Kate is just like listening to as she's like reeling about her divorce. Maybe they were giving us hints with the April 2020 playlist, because she filed initially the petition April 17th, which was the day that Fetch the Bolt Cutters was released, Fiona Apple's album. And I'm like,
could you imagine if she had this like come to Jesus moment while listening to Fiona Apple's new album and was like, you know what? Fetch the bolt cutters.
Fetching the bolt cutters. Get me out of here. I'm surprised it wasn't like made. I'm surprised it came out now, this information, and not when she initially filed.
And yeah, I mean, it's weird that the Post, because like there's someone at the Post who goes through all the court documents because they're public record.
Yeah.
And basically like posts on what it's about, what the court documents say. So typically they're just surface level. There's not a lot of information or I guess color in articles like that. But it's amazing to me that something like this is a pretty high profile divorce. This is like, you know, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie getting divorced levels of, but also like on a global scale, you know, because he is French and she's American and is in the public eye.
Yeah.
So, but also like there is this sort of machine behind celebrity divorces where really they've been separated for a long period of time and they're looking for the right time to publicly announce it.
Right.
And, you know, maybe they quietly went to do it. And then, you know, things just got so out of hand that she was like, fuck it. The gloves are off. The kids' skin gloves
as
are off.
soon as he was like, oh, by the way, you have to be out by Monday. Like the 18th. That's insane to me that and then she's asking still for the 30th, which isn't even that much time.
Yeah, that's another thing is that it's like usually like you have to give a certain amount of notice.
Yeah.
And like I feel like there's like, you know, legal ramifications or, you know, there's law to protect tenants from being like you have 24 hours to get the hell out.
And I'm wondering too, so the TMZ article said that in order for her to protect her assets and her property and her belongings, that she had to file for a divorce in order to protect those things.
I saw that.
To me, that doesn't make, I don't know the laws, I guess, on that. Is like, why does that make it so he can't?
Well,
is it because when they're married, it's his stuff too?
Well, it's common property, you know, but in New York, like really the one who typically benefits from the divorce is who files first.
Okay.
So, you know, she has a lot on the line. Granted, I was reading that they have an ironclad prenup.
Yeah, thank
which
God.
I can read you a little spot from it. Okay, so 50-year-old Olivier's net worth is reportedly $60 million. He has made his money from investment banking and being related to Hungarian nobility, whatever the hell that means.
Yeah.
33-year-old Mary Kate, as we all know, made her money from being one half of a very cute pair of twins on TV, then in a series of VHS movies, and eventually several fashion lines. Mary Kate and Ashley reportedly have a combined net worth of $500 million. Mary Kate's prenup reportedly protects the money she made as a child star and all her business ventures, like her high-end label, The Row, and the more reasonably priced, I'm reading it off of a gossip website, so in parentheses, but still fucking expensive, Elizabeth and James. When Mary Kate filed an emergency order for her divorce in an attempt to stay in her apartment until May 30th, she reportedly specifically requested that her prenup be enforced.
Yes. Thank God. Yeah, people have been messaging me. They're like, I hope there's a prenup. And it's like, of course there's a prenup. Like, when you're that rich, you would have hoped that she would be smart enough to have a prenup to protect her assets.
I mean, like, they're probably like the perfect example of like management gone right.
Yes, exactly.
There's a lot of these like, you know, younger starlets and whatever who like either blow through all their money because of poor management or don't have the right advisors and like, you know, have to cut $100 million check to an ex-spouse, you know, things like that. So, you know, I definitely think their empire is protected, but like, what does this mean for her privacy in terms of, how is this
Right.
going to play out in the public?
Yeah. That's a big concern too. Because I feel like if he's willing to do this to her, give her, a few days to get all of her stuff out during a pandemic,
What
that's
else is
just
he capable of?
mean. What is like, who is this guy? Like,
Yeah,
and I was
and
really rooting for them.
yeah,
Like, there was like a
same. I was
time.
like, shit, like there's hope for all of us,
I
and
know. And
I
there was,
guess that's not the case.
people were like, oh, this guy's a sleaze bag. And, when they first started dating, I was like, Mary Kate, what are you doing? Like, you're so gorgeous and beautiful and amazing. And he's like a little slimy. But then, you're like, well, they never really had true childhoods. Like, I understand they probably hang out with a lot of older people. I would understand why she would be drawn to an older man. Like, no shame, no judgment. And then the more they were seen, I was like, oh, they're pretty cute together. Like, she seems really happy. I'm team Olivier, like, after all this time. And now it's like, now it's like, oh shit, maybe he was like a shitty person this whole time. I mean, we'll never know, I guess. I mean, how he was during the start of it. But I think this really unravels like her privacy. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, we can also like speculate on so many things that went wrong in their marriage. Like, was there infidelity? Was there, what made this marriage irreparable?
Right.
But like, what really could maybe have driven him crazy, is maybe an insecurity for her fame.
Right.
No one's really chasing after him in the street. I would say that being married to her is like you're married to this person who you fell in love with, but you're also married to Mary Kate Olsen, one
Right.
half of the famous Olsen twins,
Mm-hmm.
who, as we discussed in a previous episode, are still, A-list.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I was reading about, his personality, and he's very outgoing and charismatic. And that was something that she was really drawn to because she's, an
Well,
introverted
he's a Gemini.
homebody.
They're very charismatic.
Yeah. And he's like very outgoing, and she was drawn to that. But like, I wonder, I mean, you can hypothesize all you want about how he is as a person, but it's like maybe that there's this jealousy factor in that where he's like kind of, I mean, he's a banker. He's only really, no one really knows who he is and like what he does. He's like just a banker, unless you're like follow that stuff.
Listen, bankers are like fancy words for crooks.
Yeah, right, exactly. Also, I was watching a little clip, like a news clip that he was in, and he has like an American accent. I don't know why. I was like thinking he had like a French accent.
Really?
Yeah, he like sounds like he's just American.
Interesting. I've never heard him really speak.
Yeah, it was really, I was like, I thought he was French. Pierre Olivier Sarkozy. I don't know, maybe he went to enough like private schools around the world that he just doesn't have any accent.
Yeah, totally. It's just all like really crazy. I mean, like, if it does play out in the courts, like we can totally fantasize about courtroom looks.
I
Like, will she
know.
break out a whole new wardrobe for the row? Like,
Is she going to
celebrities are,
capitalize off of this? I
is
feel like
she gonna capitalize on it? It's brilliant marketing, like
it could go either way. It's like either she can be like, I don't want to talk about this. This is my private life, which I could totally see her doing. Like, or she could be like, you know what? Fine. Let's
let's
do
turn
this.
this into a
Fine.
media circus.
Let's do this. Olivier, you want to fight? We'll fight. And then she's a Gemini. So,
Listen, I think that as chill as she is and how, I guess she's more of a type B personality and Ashley's a little more type A.
Mhm.
I think that Mary Kate is probably rather scrappy.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I think that there's the bite is as equally powerful as the bark.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it takes a certain amount of push before she gives out and is like, I'm not going to put up with this. Fuck this shit.
Yeah. I mean, and when she went to do that emergency order, request the emergency order for divorce,
which is a pretty desperate move, if you ask me.
She knew it was going to create a buzz. Like, she knew what it was going to do. She, like, when you're Mary Kate Olsen, if you go to the court for an emergency divorce order, everybody in the fucking world is going to know about it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, she's not taking this lightly.
I mean, imagine just like, all the clients of the Row rushing to the Row, to help fund the divorce,
I know.
A week after raise capital.
I mean, that she's just, and thank God I read that she is right now with Ashley. They are there was a source that said that they're with a group of friends.
I saw that.
Quarantining together out of the city. I wonder, like, how long they've been there. I'm curious about, like, how long have they been, separated or apart? Has it been, like, just since quarantine, or, like, did they move, like, mid-quarantine? Like, we'll never really know the details until, Olivier is probably gonna air all of her dirty laundry if he's, like, this type of sleaze bag.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it's like no one deserves their dirty laundry to be aired out in public, especially not Mary Kate.
Like, of all, like, the woman who's, like, been trying to, like, be private for so many years, who's, like, had a good
like
reputation.
She thought that she found her person who, like,
did.
Also, I feel like, Europeans are more interested in privacy and, like, don't give a shit about celebrity. Granted, like, there's totally European celebrity and there's paparazzi following European royalty and whatnot, but clearly something happened, where it just didn't work out, which is, like, really, like, why can't it be amicable?
Right. Like, why did he have to go? Like, I'm sure that it could have been amicable if he didn't, like, just surprise, like, cancel their lease.
Yeah. Well, what if, like, a scandal comes out, not on her end, but on his?
Oh, I wouldn't doubt if he had some sort of infidelity. I mean,
No, like something to do with his job.
Oh.
Or something really crazy.
Oh, like something like corruption, like more monetary.
A little, like, wire fraud.
Oh, and that, because he said he's not in a position to pay more rent. And I'm like, you're worth $60 million. Mary Kate's worth $250 million. Like, how much is your rent? Like, it can't be, I'm sure it's a lot, but it can't be, like, enough that you can't extend it for another month or two.
Yeah, like, but that's what's crazy is, like, why were you in such a rush to cancel the lease? But also, like, if that was the case, like, why weren't you just like, hey, I'm moving out, here's my half of the rent?
Yeah.
And
I just think it's, like, funny to think that they, like, split the rent.
Yeah, I do too. Like, when it was coming out of my mouth, I was like, wait a second.
How, I'm just, like, wondering, how much is their
like,
rent?
does Mary Kate, like, Venmo him on the first?
I know. Or, like, just, like, why can't he be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to leave. You can pay like, there had to have been a way that they could have easily made this work, that it didn't have to go to, like, emergency divorce request.
Yeah, but, well, like, were they in marriage counseling before this, or did they just say fuck it and, like,
I know,
cancel their marriage?
They just put
what does Ashley think about it?
I know. I mean, and isn't it curious? Yesterday, it was the first Ashley sighting. She looks okay. Can I just say, I sent this to my friend who actually has been on the podcast before, Nathaniel, and he said that she looked like she worked for USPS. And then he commented, because I sent it to Olsen Oracle's post, and then he commented on it, like, is USPS hiring? And he got blocked.
Desperate times, and
Olsen Oracle blocked my friend who's been on this podcast because he said
they blocked him.
Yeah, because he said he looked like she looked like she was working for USPS.
Wow, I mean, it's funny, it's rude, but it's funny.
I know. I was like, oh my god, yeah. He's like, did they delete the post? And I was like, no, she blocked you. Too funny.
Wow.
But yeah, she does look like she works for USPS in that photo. But it's still chic.
mean,
It's USPS chic.
Chic. The row for the USPS. Like
there we go. She's revamping it.
Exactly. They need to. They need to. The USPS
expand.
is doing right now.
I know.
What do you think about? What's like? Do they have common property? Like, how is this divorce gonna play out? Obviously, they don't own their apartment together, so that I feel like alleviates a lot of things. Like,
yeah,
a lot of times with the divorce, you can go in and you can go in with your assets and they can come in with their assets, and then when you split, you leave with your assets that you came in with, and then you split whatever assets were made during the marriage.
Yeah.
But a lot of her assets are made from the row.
Right.
And Elizabeth and James, and through individual licenses and whatnot.
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. I just had a thought and okay, here was a theory that or a question that just popped in my head of okay, so I'm assuming they have more than one property together. They don't just rent this place, this one apartment. Where is he staying? Is he able to get all of his shit out by the 18th? Was he already secretly moving everything out months prior, and they were already living together?
He stole her Gucci shoehorn?
Yes.
Sorry, my cat was crying.
Oh no, it's okay.
It's so interesting to me. I guess maybe the cracks that were in their marriage will come to the surface.
Yeah. Yeah.
What, it's okay, so you have common property, then did you invest in anything together?
Yeah. This is the biggest divorce to come out of quarantine, I think.
Yeah, I think even with all the, sadly, this divorce is overshadowing, the deaths that are actually happening. The death of Mary-Kate Olsen's marriage is,
huge. This is going to be a high-profile divorce. We're going to get so much news from this.
Yeah. The last high-profile divorce is, Jeff Bezos and Mackenzie Bezos,
Right.
All I can think of is, obviously, you think of, we've been in quarantine since March 15th. It's May 14th. It's almost 60 days. There hasn't been a ton of celebrity news except for them bitching and complaining, oh, woe is me, I have to quarantine in my
mansion
house with my gym, my personal trainer, my multiple pools, my steam room, sauna, full step sticks, et cetera, et cetera. And we were kind of fuck celebrity culture. We're exhausted by it. Then this happens.
Right. And we're holy shit. Things are going down.
Yeah.
And here I was thinking that Mary-Kate and Ashley were thriving in quarantine. I was really
we were are they in the Hamptons with Olivier?
We're did they get a joint house?
Is she riding her horse there?
Right, but she's really struggling to keep her marriage together. And then finally was I'm done. Nope. And April 17th. So that's a month after quarantine.
Yeah. So were they quarantined together and then they weren't quarantined together?
Yeah. We may never know until somebody eventually comes and spills the beans. But it's I'm just curious.
Where's this insider? How can we reach out to them?
I know. Ashley Olsen, if you're listening, can you give us the details?
Yeah. Well,
no,
not.
she would never.
But yeah,
Ashley would absolutely never give the details.
She's that's my sister.
I know. She's no comment.
it's so, but then there's also the, like, she's a stepmother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she has two
like,
stepchildren.
she has two stepchildren, and like I said, I've seen her eating with her stepchildren. And so, what does that mean for them? Like, they're going through another divorce, another, coming from a broken home.
And luckily, I don't want to say like, oh, they weren't together that long, but they were married for 5 years. They were, they dated for 3 years after that. So it's just like, and luckily, I'm like, Mary Kate is still young. She is thriving,
She's a queen.
In so many ways. Like, she's going to bounce
back. She's
like
a cat. She'll land on her feet.
I know. Yeah. It's like, she's going to, when she's 33, once quarantine's over, we'll see her on the town. I'm so ready for single Mary Kate to like.
So that is what I'm most excited about. Like, is Mary Kate gonna come out of matrimonial hiding and just be single and ready to mingle?
Yeah, or is she gonna be like, what if she just like never dates or marries again, and she's just like, I'm done with men?
Miss Havisham. A modern day Great Expectations.
Yes.
Living in her ivory tower, dripping in estate jewelry and fur.
Yeah, that's the Mary Kate that I'm also ready for.
Yeah.
Whatever Mary Kate wants to do, I'm here for it and I support it. I'm here for the courtroom looks.
I'm here for the courtroom looks for sure.
And like, how long do these things last? Especially during like a pandemic where we don't really know like how long this thing is gonna happen.
Well, yeah, that's crazy. That's what's crazy. It's like just like, I guess, reading over all the information and sort of distilling what's there.
Mm-hmm.
It may be quite straightforward. Like it doesn't seem like they're super entangled in terms of maybe finances and property and various assets and whatnot. So it could just like, this could be the only thing that they report. And then it's like Mary Kate Olsen's divorce was finalized.
Yeah.
So we could maybe not get, but then on the other side, like, has there ever been such a high profile divorce during a quarantine? We haven't even had a quarantine since like the 20s.
Right. Like, this is just probably Mary Kate's worst nightmare of like, if I'm going to divorce my husband, I want it to be discreet and low profile and washed with the news and just part of another news cycle. But this is the biggest like celebrity news story that we've had all through quarantine.
Yeah.
So,
and I just imagine her being like, oh, fuck, this thing couldn't get any fucking worse.
Yeah. And she's just with her group of friends outside the city, drinking
spiraling.
wine.
I just imagine her spiraling, like lit cigarette in hand, like burning it down to a knob.
Yeah, just like, and her friends just huddled around her, just being like, Mary Kate, it's okay. You're going to get through this. We got you. Like, we're here for you.
Her sister is like holding her and singing her like Twinkle, Twinkle Little Star.
And they're like, let's do another playlist. Like, let's get right. Like, let's get started.
You love making your playlist, MK. Like, let's make another one.
Let's make another one. Like, what can I do to help you? They're like all rallying around her. She's like, they're like baking cakes for her. And she's just like,
they're baking banana bread.
Yes.
They're tie-dyeing t-shirts.
They're making sourdough.
Like, comes out of this a platinum blonde.
What if she just like totally like cuts her hair or some shit, like gets bangs?
Oh my God. I remember them with bangs. So like, that's, they look good, but that's kind of, I don't know. That's, things are bad if she gets bangs.
She like cuts her hair short. Like, what? Yeah, I mean, what type of damages?
Here's what I'm really like, ideal situation. Divorce happens. Sadly, she, is, I guess, kind of in shambles. But she just goes on like a tear. And is just like, I'm out in the world, like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's fuck shit up.
Just like, yeah, like, what if this like breaks her streak of like not talking to the press? And she's just like, fine, Olivier, do you want me to, I'll say some stuff now.
Well, that's the thing, is that like, you think about like, scandal and how people, I I guess, approach scandals with, her past scandals in terms of, medical and whatnot.
Right.
She was like rather mum. This is something where, and it was like, was she really checked in for that? We'll never know. Like, it's kind of speculative.
Right.
But this, like, it's like, as humans, we feel the need to tell our side of a two-sided story.
Right.
So it really is, we wonder, like, is it going to be he said, she said, or is she going to, like, come out and be like, here's the facts?
Like, I'm going to defend myself. Because
And I have to defend myself. Like,
because
it's a matter of, because it's like an attack on her character.
Right. I mean, because
like, people can be like, oh, that fat celebrity, and it's like, oh, like, go fuck yourself. But like, with something so, I guess, so intensely private coming to the surface, and then it's like their word against yours, and it's like, here's Olivier, like, talking all this shit in the media. I hope that she feels the need to respond.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm of the school of, mum is the word. Let them,
and she might. Mary Kate just might be like, I'm not going to say anything. Like, let people think what they want, which seems to be like her, the way she goes about things anyways. But I thought this was interesting. An email from Sarkozy's attorney to Olsen's attorney indicates that the further tension. Olivier advises he went to the New York City apartment yesterday and noticed that a number of items of personal property were removed from the apartment. While Olivier has no issues with Mary Kate taking what she wants or needs, he would like a list of what has been removed so he can keep track of who has what for the overall personal property division.
See? So, I mean, if they're speaking only with attorneys,
yeah,
it's ugly.
Yeah.
The relationship is fractured beyond repair.
And like,
did she take the Gucci shoehorn? Will we know?
We may never know. We may never, like, it's just going to be so, tense.
Maybe
like, this is like the divorce of our lifetime.
Burn her wedding photos in effigy.
Maybe she'll, and we don't even have the wedding photos. What if she just like releases them? Or what if he does? I feel like that's something he would do.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm like speculating. I'm like, he's a crook. I hate him.
Yeah, he sucks.
I'm like, he's going to do everything to ruin our dear, precious Mary Kate, and she needs to be freed. I want to make free Mary Kate shirts. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but.
I mean, listen, Team Mary Kate.
Team Mary Kate all the way.
Break him through the coals. He deserves it.
Yeah. I want to see like claws out. Like, how is she going to like just her words, like her phrases and everything in these documents are just like, she's had enough.
Well, also like, I think that she is, she's a woman of immense poise.
Mm-hmm.
And I think whatever she does say, we're going to see a lot of that. And, she'll be vicious in a very strategic way.
Yeah. I'm here for it. If she wants to get vicious, let her get vicious. Get out of there, girl.
She doesn't need my permission, but I am giving her permission to behave badly.
Yes. Same. So I'm just like, how can he do her dirty so, like, just what he seems to be doing with, like, her being worried about her property and, her stuff is important to her. I mean, it's like, it's
we discussed this. She keeps everything.
She keeps everything. It's like, handbags that she's had for 20 years and probably.
With a pen stain.
Yeah, just like, furniture that she's probably burned cigarette, like, holes into
Yeah,
that she's like,
there's cigarette burns in the upholstery. Love that. Brings a real authentic vintage look
yes.
to your furniture.
Ugh.
But also, like, they, I don't know if it's her or Ashley has a house in LA. They might have separate houses, but they have a really beautiful house in Beverly Hills. Like, is that protected? Like, are
Right.
these, because they're twins who have really, really exquisite taste in terms of art, culture, architecture, design. Sartorially, they're next to none. What, and does she still have the Broome Street apartment?
Yeah. I don't know.
So
I think they recently sold something. I remember reading that, but I didn't note that down. But yeah, it's gonna be when you think about, like, he's worth 60 million, which is a lot.
but clearly he doesn't have the liquidity to
No.
continue paying the rent.
Yeah,
I guess
I'm
the
like,
Mary Kate doesn't split.
I'm like, why don't you can't pay the rent for another month or whatever? It's like, because he's prematurely terminating the lease. It's not like he's.
Oh, it's a premature termination.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what I read. Oh, well, okay. So she said, my husband has terminated the lease on our New York City residence without my consent. So what I'm gathering, if like she knew that the lease was like coming to an end,
Well,
but he's
yeah,
terminating it, right? With that
yeah, if he's terminating it, he's definitely terminating it
early. Yeah.
But also, like, in what world, as a husband and wife, like, are you both not on the lease? Like,
Yeah.
but there's also like squatters' rights, which
Yeah, Mary Kate squat that apartment.
Mary Kate is squatting in her giant apartment. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there are tenant rights.
Yeah, like there's gotta be like, I mean, maybe she's also just like genuinely very concerned about, like, okay, we're married. He's like the main one on the lease. I didn't anticipate this happening. I didn't like protect myself in terms of like, oh, I didn't think my husband was going to like terminate a lease with all my shit in it and we were going to get divorced under quarantine. Like, I didn't think ahead of this. I mean, I don't know the laws for like, how is her property not protected already? But I guess if they're married and he's technically on the lease.
What's yours is mine, sweetheart.
Yeah. And how is he moving so quickly? This makes me think that it's like he has had this planned out for a while and he was able to make arrangements behind her back. And then he was like, oh, by the way, you have to be out Monday. Like, I already have my shit taken care of. So
yeah,
are you going to get your shit taken care of?
The whole thing seems really one-sided in terms of yeah, it sucks we're getting divorced, but hey, like, what is a date that works well for you to like end our living situation?
Especially we're living separately. Do you like it seems to me that they're already living separately. If he said he came home, he came to the new apartment and somebody was there and took a bunch of stuff. Like,
and it doesn't seem there's no collaboration by any means, and there's no cooperation.
Right. It's just I just don't understand. Like, I don't know. I've also, when my recent breakup happened, we tried there was like some rocky times, but we'd also be like, okay, like, does this date work for you? Like, I don't want to leave you high and dry. Can you take care of the rent on your own? Like, I'm sure that Mary Kate could have been like, okay, can I just stay and I'll pay the rent like for an extra month?
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is that it's like, how vindictive and selfish are you to do this during quarantine?
Like, during a pandemic. And it just seems very calculated.
Yeah.
And he's like,
totally.
I know that you can't get your shit out. I know it's going to be a huge inconvenience for you if I'm giving you this short deadline. But
oh my God, could you imagine him throwing all her shit out on the street?
I would.
You know, it remind. Did you see the movie? Isn't that amazing? Right. That's where we find the Gucci shoehorn. What about? Have you seen the movie A Marriage Story?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen Marriage Story.
You know, like you remember, like you know, them meeting with the lawyers and the lawyers like communicating, like, you know, it makes me wonder, like, is he not? I'm not giving benefit of the doubt by any means. It's just purely speculative. Like, is he acting at the request of his lawyer and vice versa?
It could be, especially if they have these high profile, like really expensive lawyers who are like, I feel like lawyers like that kind of do want the drama. I also wonder if
because it you know,
it puts their names out there, gets them more clients probably.
But also, like, it's kind of this dog and pony show where, you know, at the end of the day, you have to sway the judge to rule in your favor. And, you know, whoever has the best act wins. Yeah. As terrible as that sounds.
Right. That's true. And they're like,
you know, it's just like, but also, like, how, you know, how did his divorce with his ex-wife play out?
Yeah, I didn't research that.
You know, like, he's already divorced once, so maybe he is a shitty person.
Yeah, I mean, he could have like put on this act with Mary-Kate, and they seemed to really be in love, and they probably were for a very long time, and then just something happened. His true colors showed, or I mean, obviously we're both team Mary-Kate, so we're not going to disparage her in any way, but maybe she had some personality traits that came out that he wasn't too keen on. Also, I mean, she's human. Barely. She's kind of a goddess, but.
So here's an article that I just found. The title is Nicolas Sarkozy's brother Olivier is threatened with divorce lawyer known as the Pitbull. They were the toast of New York's high society, the glamorous French couple whose wedding celebration was presided over by the future president Nicolas Sarkozy, who mingled with film stars and financiers, and whose Manhattan townhouse played host to sought-after soirees. So she filed divorce. So what, you know, what does that mean?
Yeah. I'm wondering if, like, does he just kind of like the glitz and glam of these, like, high profile things? I don't know, high society.
Well, yeah. So Olivier, okay. So apparently he was married for 14 years. The divorce didn't come without its share of drama. And at the time, he was reportedly seeing Stella Schnabel, who's the daughter of Julian Schnabel, the painter. But apparently the wife, who also comes from a wealthy family, fought to bypass the prenuptial agreement and keep a bigger share of their multi-million-dollar estate. You know, Olsen's claiming that Sarkozy terminated their lease without telling her. I mean, it's messy.
Yeah.
You know, like, Sarkozy is basically kicking her out of their apartment, and I think they're going to disagree on the allocation of shared assets.
Oh, I would assume so. Especially if he's like asking for like a list of everything that's taken out. I also think it's weird that he's like, oh yeah, he doesn't have a problem with Mary-Kate taking what she wants or needs. He just needs everything written down. And I just feel like that's like some weird twist of like, you know, Mary-Kate can have whatever she wants, but, you know, she just has to make sure that I'm aware of it. or something. It's like
Well, but
he's like trying to make it like the good guy.
Exactly. He's like, I just want what's mine, and she can take what's hers.
She
But
needs it or
really,
wants it.
like,
That's
what
fine. But she doesn't have a
exactly,
problem with her
they definitely,
taking things.
exactly. He's like, but in reality, his lawyer is probably keeping a tab and is gonna, bring it up in court.
Right. And also it's like, okay, so you're giving her just a few days to leave. Because I'm wondering what, like, did he tell her yesterday that he wanted her out by the 18th? And that's when she filed the emergency thing? Like, I'm curious about the timeline. I didn't gather that. Or was he like, did this happen like, a week ago, and then finally she went and filed the emergency request?
Well, I mean, I feel like it's not like she can she can't march into the courthouse.
No.
No one can, except for like essential, employees, like the mayor. But it's also, it makes me wonder, like, is this divorce, the big question is this going to give us a detailed look into her empire?
Yeah, like, or her assets, or what she has, her property, her interpersonal,
Exactly.
like her collections. Yeah. I'm curious about her collections.
Yeah, well, but it's also like, a divorce like this, because there's no children involved, I don't think it necessarily can be sealed, the records.
Really?
So it could be public record, but they also could seal the records in order to bound it with like an NDA.
Yeah. Which I wouldn't.
So that they don't have to disclose how much of a settlement so-and-so got, and whatnot.
Yeah.
But if his prior divorce is any sort of telltale sign, I think we're gonna get a pretty microscopic look into their marriage.
Yeah. Oh, poor Mary Kate. This is like not what she wanted when she married him in that secret wedding with no photos.
With the bowls of cigarettes.
The iconic bowls of cigarette wedding. And this is not what she anticipated, I'm sure. I mean, it's never what you anticipate when you get married to someone.
I mean, well,
she's so fragile, probably, and like is so heartbroken, and thank God she has her friends and her sister to like rally around her, make sure she's okay. But
I mean, it would just again, like we are speculating like what she's doing in quarantine. Like, I just imagine, like if it were me, I would have probably destroyed my bedroom. And then after my nervous breakdown, put everything back together in a better way than it was before.
Yeah.
But like, what is she feeling right now? Like, we don't want her to feel mental anguish that he's causing her.
Yeah. Because he's obviously causing her a great deal of suffering and pain. And I'm just like, I just don't understand how somebody could treat another person like, oh, during quarantine, I'm going to cancel the lease. And because it was just so clearly pre-planned. If he gave himself enough time to get shit out of that apartment. Like,
totally. Yeah, exactly.
He gave himself that and then did not tell her. Like, he clearly did not. He's been making arrangements, I'm assuming, for months. Like, the start of quarantine.
Probably. And with a divorce, like, so much shady shit happens, like in terms of ways to screw your soon to be ex-spouse.
Right.
And I think that this is like, whether you're rich or poor, to be quote unquote homeless is shitty.
Yes.
And what he did is shitty.
It's so shitty.
And, I just hope he gets what he deserves in the end.
Yeah. And it's just like crazy that I'm like, Mary Kate Olsen can't find a place to live. Like, wow.
I mean, that's like, but yeah, I mean, my friend was like, yeah, she could just like go out and find a new apartment. I'm like, it doesn't work like that. Like, like yeah, you can see a place digitally, but it's like, you gotta feel like it's home.
Yeah. And
Ugh.
I mean, she's also, it's not like she's just can quickly move into like an apartment with an open room that's on Craigslist or something. Like she needs, like, she's Mary-Kate Olsen. She needs to feel safe and secure and protected and have enough space for all of her shit and like, and everything. She's not just.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's not like she can move into like a 600 square foot one bedroom.
Yeah. Like,
and another thing that kind of like, it like just kind of popped into my brain. They had bought a townhouse on Stuyvesant Street in the East Village, or something like that. I think it's Stuyvesant Street. But it was a beautiful stately property. They sold it to move uptown, and they bought this kind of neo-Gothic mansion, a couple blocks south of the Upper East Side in Turtle Bay. But now they're renting, so it's like, is their permanent property being renovated? There's all these weird
or
questions.
is he
like,
there? Is he at the permanent property? And she maybe like during quarantine, she was like, actually, I'm going to go stay with my sister. Like, I don't want to live with you during this time. Or because she's been, I can't imagine that they've been staying together during this whole ordeal.
I mean, I think that Mary-Kate would probably be on trial for murder.
Yeah. If they've like been together
or worse, Olivier.
Yeah. I don't trust him.
I don't trust him. I never trust him. I was happy for her, but
I know.
I was like,
always a little skeptical.
You love who you love. That's how I feel.
I was like, whatever, like they're cute. Like she seems happy. I'll root for them. But I knew from the start that there was just something not right about that man. And it's not even that like, oh, she's gross for dating this old guy. It's more like, why is he like, I don't know, going after this young?
Yeah,
well, she was like 28 when they got married.
Like, yeah, they were 28. Yeah, and he's like 17 years her senior or something like that.
Yeah.
Here's my like next question is that, so why is, oh shit, it completely
did it
left
escape
my
you?
brain. It did. Mary-Kate getting married. Olivier Sarkozy, like, I remember. Okay, so, you like to think that if someone's been divorced, it means that they're capable of being married.
Right.
Okay, like they're capable of sustaining a relationship, providing whatever. Obviously, that's like, an outlier. But, maybe, yeah, he's capable of like tricking someone into getting married to him, but maybe he's just like a shithead and shouldn't get married. I wholeheartedly agree that like being married to Mary-Kate would probably be both tasking and a joy at the same time.
Right. I couldn't imagine
that because she's like so in the public eye.
Yes.
I think that would be hard. But like he can't sort of get upset because she does a really great job of maintaining her privacy, which is why all this is such a shock.
Right. Which is why it's like seeing these documents or like seeing these excerpts from these documents of what she's saying about her marriage is very shocking. You're like, oh, I wouldn't have expected to see an inside of like Mary-Kate's personal life.
But also I would have never expected to see her having a splashy divorce,
no, never.
I would have thought that it would have been a quiet, very quiet divorce, amicable, and it's just sort of like one day they're married, the next day they're divorced. A good example is one of Mary-Kate, maybe they're not friends anymore, but Vanessa Trena, who is Danielle Steele's daughter, was married she was married to someone high profile in terms of like he comes from a really powerful art family. One day they were married, the next day they weren't. But they had this really beautiful society wedding at her mother's house in San Francisco. And now she is remarried to, someone else.
Yeah.
That's the kind of what I would have anticipated.
Right. Where it's like conscious uncoupling. Like I figured that they would have maybe done something like that where they're like, but instead we're probably going to see photos like Nicole Kidman after she divorced.
Oh yeah, be like,
yes. Like,
yeah, same. Or like her having, I definitely see, because every now and then we get a taste of the twins, I guess acting in a way that's goes against their kind of personal personas. Like when they did that for their birthday, they did like the camp. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes,
did,
I do. They
like
had like the teams and
stuff.
Right?
Where
it was like
which is I think it's really fun. I think they're constantly keeping us on our toes. But like, are we gonna see her have like a post-divorce party?
Right.
In Nashville.
Right, like something weird with their friends. Like, are we exactly like? I'm looking forward to that, like the post-quarantine kind of single MK surprises.
Yeah, like will her sort of completely, her personality and her views towards being private completely shift? Like she's like, fuck it, cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, because I mean, it does. Okay, so and this is like another conspiracy thing where it's like, or just like questions that you ask. So before she started dating Olivier, Mary-Kate and Ashley were still they were private, but they were more public. Like they did interviews and they had stylement and everything. And then they started dating, and it does seem like after that, I mean, they've been together for 8 years, so it's like, but after that, she started getting more and more private. Her appearance.
Which that goes back to like, he's from like this kind of elite European family.
Corrupt.
And they value their privacy.
And but there's like all this scandal with them.
And now there's, which I'm sure is probably driving him nuts more than her, because she's been in the public eye since she was a baby.
Right. Like she knows, like she can handle scandal.
Mm-hmm. But something else that's like a little anecdotal, I think we can use Celine Dion as a very good example. Her husband was her manager for so long and really controlled Celine's public image.
Mm-hmm.
And then he died, and we get all this like really kind of crazy, amazing things like, her just peacocking in Paris. Like, are we going to start seeing Mary-Kate attending shows again? Are we going to see her out on the town in various forms? Yeah. Are we going to see her riding a bike this summer?
Right? Because it's like, she's been in this relationship. He's older. She's now a step parent. I'm sure she's felt a lot of responsibility to like keep house. And, she had that, that one article, that interview from a while ago that she was like, I have a family. I go home and cook dinner. I'm like a mom. I'm a stepmom. Like, and now that she is 33 and getting going through this messy divorce during this messy time, what does that mean for her future? And also like their brands, like their ventures or whatever. Like,
well, I mean, I definitely think that she'll come out being the victim.
Yeah.
And, I had a good friend of mine. She was married to someone high profile, and they got married when she was young. He was older. They got a divorce when she was like early 30s. Apparently it was super messy. She got a lot. She got everything really, but she went wild. She went wild because, there was this period of time that she kind of missed out on.
Yeah.
So maybe is Mary-Kate, like, again, with the questions, Mary-Kate, like, are we going to see a side of Mary-Kate that we've never, she's multidimensional.
Yeah.
She's a Gemini.
She
We
is.
never know what they're going to fucking come up with.
It's like, and just pairing that with like, not only is it, she's like coming out of this messy divorce, but it's quarantine. Like we've been like, everyone's very stir crazy. Everyone's like, once quarantine's done, I'm going to the clubs, I'm doing this. Like, think of how much she's going to crave, even though she's an introvert and a homebody, she's going to crave like a little bit of like, not scandal, but like a little show, I'm sure, for herself. She's gonna crave some attention in some way, like from people in real life.
Is she going to tear through young, male stars? Is she going to go back to acting?
Oh my God. That would be insane. Because she was still acting.
You're very excited about that.
Oh my God. If Mary-Kate, I don't think Mary-Kate will go back to acting. But I think that like, is she going to date a younger man?
Maybe she'll date someone closer in age who they can relate to certain things. Maybe like someone who's like 37.
Yeah. Maybe she'll date like, what if she dates like an old friend?
But also like, can you imagine what if she like does an HBO scripted series where it's like sort of about,
this could just be like a moment for her where she's like, you know what, fuck it. Like, I want to do something new. Like, this seems like it's like going to really rattle her fucking life in a huge way. That she might like maybe do a tell-all book. Like, maybe she'll do a documentary.
Listen, mask on, gloves off.
Yeah. She's like, what if she just like writes a movie? Like something totally random. She like directs
and
something.
But then her good friend Jonah Hill directs it.
Oh, Jonah Hill, my husband. Love Jonah Hill. What if her and Jonah Hill date? Does he have a girlfriend? I think he does. If Mary-Kate and Jonah Hill got together, I think I would actually die.
But I think they're like childhood friends.
They are, but I still love them together. I just love Jonah Hill. I think he's so hot.
I don't share that sentiment, but I find him funny. I'm sorry, I can't relate.
It's okay.
I mean, I would love for her to be with like. I think that she needs to be with someone who shares her plight in terms of knowing what fame is really like.
Yeah.
Because that's where I really think. I think that maybe there's both jealousy and rage towards her fame.
Mm-hmm.
And
also, I think that Mary-Kate and Ashley are both like genuinely good people. I mean, obviously I don't know them and I'm just making assumptions based on my biases, but I think that they care about people and I think they care about, the world and they champion good causes. And then when there's Olivier Sarkozy, he's like a banker who's probably involved in a lot of scandal. Maybe he was doing some sketchy things that Mary-Kate was like, I can't get this behind.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all possible in terms of, but it's only as the divorce rolls along, because it's already started off really nasty. We've already just, seen that.
It went from 0 to 100 in literally seconds.
Yeah. And, I think, like I said, I think that her and her sister mind their P's and Q's and really, have advisors to manage their business in a really great way, in a legal way. Like, either they're going to do a deep probe into his background or they're going to threaten to do a deep probe into his background and it's going to quietly go away.
Yeah. It's
If
so
he's
like,
smart,
yeah,
he'll take the latter deal.
yeah.
But him taking away the roof over Mary Kate's head where she lays her sweet brown locks at every night.
Oh, and has like cradles all of her very precious valuables, her clothes, yeah, but is he gonna throw her shit out, like outside? Oh, I just like picture Mary Kate like gathering all of her like belongings like quickly.
But like also being like not really yelling and being
No.
like, Olivier, are you fucking kidding me?
Cigarette in hand.
Yeah.
Olivier, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Well, I know you have to go in like a minute. Thank
Yes.
you so much for coming on to talk about this like insane news, our emergency
Oh my God.
discussion.
Listen, whenever there's a scandal, you can call me.
Yes. Oh my God.
I was like,
about it. And it's like, I don't mean to be like, this is a scandal I've been waiting for, or like, this is like the drama I've been waiting for, but also kind of like, sometimes you're like, okay, what things happening in the news are Mary Kate and Ashley doing? And it's like, they keep such a low profile, but that sometimes there's just like not enough to talk about of like what's happening now with them. But this is huge. Like, this is going to be an ongoing saga.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I'll come back and talk about it.
Yeah.
And next time, maybe I'll even bring, a lawyer with me.
Yes.
And he can.
And you need to interview a divorce lawyer from New York to figure out the rules.
So, yeah, thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you.
You can find me on Instagram, The Boy About Town.
Yes.
I have shamefully, a lot of great divorce content planned. So look out for that.
Some divorce. I love the Mary Kate, the divorcee. Like she's she's here for it.
Like her like I guess it would be her like title, like we've talked about how she's multifaceted: child actor, actress, designer,
yes,
socialite, divorcee.
She's here. I'm ready for this new Mary Kate.
I am too. And, I look forward to coming back.
Yes. Thank you. All right. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye, Amity.